Is it worth it?
Will it make me happy?
Do you regret?
Will it make me stressed?
Here are the best questions to ask yourself before making a purchase. Hey everyone, my name is Ryan.
And my name's Travis.
And today we just want to go over some best practices to ask yourself before making a purchase.
So one of the best practices you can do before you're spending your money is ask, is it worth it? So this is going to look different for everybody, but it's really just a mindfulness exercise so you can make sure that you're actually spending your money in the best ways. And so the first question that we've listed that we think is going to be the best to ask is, will this make me happy? And that is this something that actually gives you joy? Is this something that you enjoy? Or is this something that you feel pressured to do? Is this something that you just see in other people and you see and that somebody else would want? But it's more introspective to ask yourself, is this something that's a part of who I am? Something that's a part of my interests and my goals? And does this align with what I actually think is going to actually make me a better person?
And question number 2 is, do you have enough money to afford this? And that could mean if you're using a credit card to make this purchase, and in that case, you should definitely not be purchasing it. I mean, you want to use that extra credit limit for emergencies, but also use your credit card as if you're going to pay it off at the end of each month. You don't want to actually build up the credit just because that interest rate is so high. And then, even if you do have enough money, it doesn't mean you necessarily should. That's why we're going to keep going into more questions and really figure out if you even have enough, is it still worth it and make you happy?
Number 3 is, how many hours of your life are you trading to actually afford that? So you're going to actually spend your time to actually make money, and how much money are you making with that time? So then thinking about, if something costs $100, how long does it take you to actually make that $100? Well, now when you have that item, is how much time you spent into that worth having that item? And that changes for how big the item is, or that changes for how much money that you actually make in your job.
And then that brings us to question 4, and that is, how much use are you actually going to get out of this item that you're purchasing? And for example, we're going to use a grill, and say you spend $500 on it, but you also were looking at the one that was cost $1,000. And you basically look at that, and if you're going to have this grill for, let's say, 10 years, and if you treat it and you keep it in good shape, the price difference is not necessarily a huge difference if you span it over that lifetime. But you just want to look at these items, some of these larger ticket items, that figure out how important it is to you. Does it make you happy? Does it make a big difference between the $500 and the $1,000 item? But then how much are you going to use it? Does it make a difference if you get the top quality grill, but you only use it 1 hour a week and it doesn't make a big difference? Or maybe it does to you. So we just want you to look at something more like this and figure out over the life of an item and kind of price that out.
Question 5 is, can you get it for less, or can you trade for it? You can save a lot of money with buying things that are very lightly used but are still practically new. So you can still get great quality, but you don't have to spend as much. Or can you trade for it? Do you have skills? Do you have something to offer where you can get something in return and not have to use cash? Cash is premium. That's what's king. And so, but if you have something that's more available or have other resources, use those resources to leverage other things that you can earn.
Question number 6 that we want to ask is, are you paying for convenience? And I'm going to use the example of coffee. You can go to the store, buy yourself a bag of beans for, let's say, $10. And then you can go home, make that cup of coffee, and it might average out to, let's say, anywhere from 50 cents to 75 cents, maybe per cup, even less. But if you go to, say, a Starbucks or your local coffee shop, and just a drip coffee is like $3, that's such a huge difference. And if you end up doing the calculations, it's roughly a 350 to 400% markup of what you'd be paying. So the answer is yes, you're paying for convenience. But I'm not saying don't do it. It's just saying, are you paying for the convenience, and are you okay with that? Because this also can correlate into larger items like paying for someone to clean your home or do your yard work. And then just do the calculations and figure out, could I do this cheaper myself? Or would I rather pay someone for the convenience factor so you could be doing something else?
Then the next question to ask is, how much is this going to cost you every year for the rest of your life? Taking into account small things adding up over time, that's going to start to give you a bigger impact of what it's actually you're trading for to receive that. Your car payments, buying a new car. When you actually average out what you spent on that, it's also important to look at what you're sacrificing in the long run. If you spend $60,000 on a car, what would that look like if you invested that for 20 years and you don't really need or don't really want that car? So looking at really what this is costing you over a year to not only find what adds up, but not only find what you're missing out on when you purchase something.
And the last question, question number 8, is how much time or freedom is this buying you in the future? And what I mean by that is if you were to not buy the item that you were, for instance, looking at, that amount of money, if you were to invest it or pay down a debt or put it towards your mortgage, how much time would that buy you in the future? And that's something you just have to calculate on your own, depending on maybe what number you're trying to reach for savings wise. But just another thing to look at and figure out maybe what that money would end up looking like if it compounded over a long amount of time. And today's quote of the day is by Grant Sabatier, who wrote Financial Freedom. It's up to you to decide whether it's worth it. Those trade-offs can add up to a lifetime of freedom.
Thanks for watching this week as we went over the best questions to ask before making a purchase. And once again, these questions are framed in the mindset that you're not trying to create a life of deprivation, but you're just trying to release the things that your money is going to spend to make you happier, is going to make a better life for you. And only you can really answer those things, but it starts by asking the questions. We found that through reading, that through searching and finding other knowledge, really helps us ask and frame these questions in a better and a healthier mindset. So hopefully that's going to help you give the biggest return on reaching your financial freedom.